I designed a fixed network automated meter reading technology, which is basically wireless meter reading for gas and water meters. And we went through about a 4-year R&D with Motorola on that, and grew that to a very large pipeline and sold that product to Motorola. I sold our business processing outsourcing company to a global competitor. Let's see what else. Since that, I've done about $75 million in real estate development, usually kind of large retail projects, pretty small compared to California standards, but in the Midwest, that's pretty decent. Trying to think what else. Most recently, in 2013, I had the idea of launching a private securities marketplace. A lot of people were talking about crowdfunding. I'm a lawyer, and so I get down into the minutia, and I thought about the discontinuity in the capital markets years ago. Like you want to raise capital for a company, it has to be under the 1933 Securities Act, which means you're not really allowed to talk to anybody about it. It's really kind of a pain in the ass. So there was some very interesting no action letters that the SEC published, very few people paid attention to, and I thought that it opened the door to create a private securities marketplace. And so we launched, really what that means is we're a broker-dealer. I mean, we're really an investment bank as far as the SEC and FINRA is concerned. And so we launched that in 2014. Our real first year of operation, we did about $85 million in placement, and we had 4 brokers. Today we have 50 brokers, and we've placed about $850 million year to date. And what we do in that business, we make a market for companies that are out in your space, like SpaceX, Pinterest, Spotify, Lyft, Uber. All those very trending private companies have large cap tables of owners and people that want liquidity, and then they have people also that want to buy, and so we make a market there. We also distribute hedge funds, liquid alternatives, just a bunch of private type securities, which is actually about 70%, 60 to 70% of the financial market is really in these type of private securities. So that was a very abridged version of a horrible question that's hard to answer.
You answered it well, though, man. So you've got. I sent you the list of questions. Do you have it in front of you, or should I kind of pick and choose?
I don't have it in front of me, and I didn't look at it, so I did not do my homework.
That's totally okay.
So just pitch them.
So first one here is. What's the best position that you've had over the various things that you've done in your career, would you say?
Maker of desks and taker out of the trash. And that is an honest to God truth. I mean, when you are an entrepreneur, you wear the big hat and the smallest hats. And it's 2 things. One, it's humbling, so you understand what all positions in operation have to do. And that taught me to not put any limits on people. I mean, in Viastar, the company that we grew to 22 states, and where we had, that Motorola division, that we ended up selling, my receptionist ended up managing my operations just because I didn't put any limitations on people. And I think if you have that kind of open vision that, you can do anything and so can anybody else, positions in and of themselves really mean nothing. I think that's important in an entrepreneurial sense. And so you probably heard this, it's very cliche, but I mean, you really learn from the things that you wouldn't think you could learn from. You learn from failures, you learn from people screwing you, and you learn from, listening more than talking. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that was my answer.
It's a good answer, man. What's the biggest risk you've taken in your career? You've taken a lot of them. You can describe more than one if you want to. They're colorful stories.
So let's start with this. First of all, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, it is a manic depressive roller coaster. And I'm telling you, it sounds great, it is, but you don't really put your mindset in how bad it can get, and you gotta kind of prepare yourself for that. And it's okay if you prepare yourself for it, but if you haven't, you're gonna struggle. So, you know, I mean, I've been all in several times. I mean, I've made payroll out of my checking account saying, man, that's it. That's all I've got. And if, you know, the revenue doesn't come, I mean, you know, the house is gone, not this one, but, you know, previous ones. And so I've taken very big risks. But that being said, they're calculated, right? You don't do stupid things. I mean, you got to weigh them. You got to know what the risk is and make a decision on whether or not you want to take it. You know, I always was of the opinion I don't want to be cutting edge of anything. I want to look at what other people have done, maybe do a better job, kind of assemble it in a different way. So all the companies that I've run, I mean, I think we've been, you know, kind of advanced in areas we focus, but we never, you know, we weren't Theranos, right, or a group like that, you know, blazing a trail on a new technology that nobody ever tried. That's, to me, that's even a big risk. But, you know, putting it all in line for an idea, running as hard as you can, knowing that you've got the lives of, you know, your employees, their livelihood, their kids, kind of, that means a lot of pressure. So, I mean, every time I think you do something in an entrepreneurial sense, you're taking a risk. It's the question of how you know, weigh the magnitude, I guess. Gotcha.
Next question, Todd. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh man, there's a lot of those too.
You're welcome to mention more than one.
Okay. So it is not financial. You know, that is a great reward, but that is ancillary. If you do something for the money, it's a bad decision. You got to do it because you enjoy it, you're passionate about it, you like giving, you know, birth, if you will, creation to an idea, and seeing it evolve, seeing people accept it, and seeing it have a market for what you know, moved out with. I mean, that to me is extremely fulfilling. As is, you know, helping people advance. I mean, I love that every employee that I ever had wants to still work for me in any endeavor that I've got. That to me is extremely rewarding. I mean, you know, entrepreneur is all about people business. I mean, you cannot be an asshole. You just can't and succeed. I mean, sure, there's a few out there that do that, but most entrepreneurs have to be people, you know, oriented. You have to lead from the back, and what that means is, you know, if there's a great idea, make it one of your employees' idea. Let them run with it. Give them the space to run. And so that to me is really rewarding, is helping people, watching people grow and achieve, and that helps you, you know, all along as well. So, I mean, those are kind of some of the big points, I think. Now I will say, the other thing, I'll go real deep philosophical on you from here. So one of my buddies he's a real successful guy, older than me, and he once said, he goes, Todd, you know, we work our whole lives to make money to spend with the ones that we love, and by the time we've made enough, there's no one left to spend it with. And man, that's so true. And so I will tell you that I said I'm not going to do that. So I busted my ass 7 days a week till 11 o'clock at night. I mean, I got some guilt because after my first child was born, that evening I was back in the office. I mean, I worked hard, but I was able to exit some companies and have some big paydays. And so I, you know, for 3 years, I put all my kids on the bus in the morning. I'm there half the time I'm home, and I just spent a whole lot of time. And so that's the other rewarding thing. It doesn't always come, and I got lucky. You know, you create your own luck for one thing. You create the opportunity for luck, and I did that, and thank God it found me. So that's the other rewarding thing, is you buy yourself time. I think at the end of the day, if you're in control of your own destiny. So that was philosophical. Sorry.
No, that's okay, man. It's a
Scotch, seriously.
It's a treat having you, man. Just for everybody's information too, and to thank Todd. It's 3 hours later for him in Indiana, so it's already 10:20 at night. So thank you very much for making time for us, Todd.
No.
The next question: what advice do you have for new people who want to start a business? So entrepreneurs that are just starting out.
did my call just end?
No, you're frozen, but we can hear you.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Can't hear you.
Todd?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your video's frozen, but we can hear you.
All right. So, for advice,
What's that?
the question was advice for people starting a business.
Yeah, so advice for brand new entrepreneurs that are just starting out.
Well, I am a big proponent of having a mentor, a couple mentors. I mean, so if you're looking at getting into a particular space, you cannot possibly talk to enough people about it. And it's a good way to kind of vet your idea, to think about certain aspects of your idea or your plan that you have not considered before. And it helps that plan kind of grow, maybe even beyond your original concept. And so having mentors, people you can talk to, feeling comfortable to do that, I think is very important. Make a very wide survey of your market, understand your competition all the way through, understand what they're doing, what they're not doing, and what they plan on doing, or where they're likely to go. And then use that as a formation point for your business plan. Business plan's never done, it's constantly evolving, it's really never a document for anyone other than yourself, but it's an important process. And so having the mentor and doing kind of the market survey and then formulating your idea in a plan and laying it out so you really understand what you're doing to get it down on paper, I think is very important. Don't let anybody tell you your idea is dumb. I mean, everybody will tell you at one point that, somebody else thought about it, somebody else failed, somebody else didn't do it, and that's probably true, but that doesn't mean it's a bad idea. So take that with a grain of salt, because everybody who wanted to start a business but didn't have the, I'm going to use the politically correct term, of backbone to do it, will naysay you all the way through the process. Just be prepared for that. So, am I still frozen on your screen?
Yeah, you are. Do you want to try and hang up and call back?
Well, what if I hit the video button again?
Okay, try that.
Okay, so anyway.
It didn't work.
That doesn't seem to have made a difference.
Alright, as long as it's not like a big shot of my nostrils, I don't really care.
It is. We can see your brain.
No.
It's not a bad shot, Todd. We can.
You hit the video.
Yeah, you hit the video.
I hit the video.
Yeah, that right there.
It's the red one.
No.
Thanks.
And then you hit it.
That doesn't seem to have helped either.
What is that?
What do you think, Todd? Do you want to stay frozen, or you want me to call you back?
Let's try calling back real quick, because it's very awkward for me to talk to this spinning string thing.
Okay, cool. Hang on.
Bye.
I thought it was pretty cool doing the whole mannequin challenge.
I agree.
I love that sound. I mean, like usually when I hear that, I'm talking to my mom.
I know.
What part of Indiana are you from?
Indianapolis.
That's right, you said that, didn't you?
I did.
I was paying attention.
That's fine. Todd? Todd, can you hear us?
Sounds like what's a voicemail? Tornadoes have voicemail.
Smells good. So just looks at me.
Anytime.
We have no internet.
You know, the internet really sucks in here.
I actually really liked this.
Actually, I think it might be on Todd's end.
Yo. Of course I didn't do that. You know, sucks. Back in. No, vacuum.
There we go.
There he is. There he is.
Todd! Okay, there we go.
He's back.
Okay, were we done with the last question? I can't remember.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
This guy's attitude is spot.
the next question. This is from Crystal. You want to actually... there we go. You want to wave, Crystal? Crystal's had a similar question for several of our guest speakers. I work for a small business here locally. The owner has retired and his son has taken over. It's the son's goal to bring the business up so it can be acquired by a competitor or investor. What strategies would you offer?
Well, that's a great question. No, I mean, I guess there's so much more to know about that. I mean, what vertical is it in? What type of company is it? But I mean, the thing you do, one, obviously, every company that wants to get acquired needs to clean up its financials. Usually, when it's a privately held company, there's all kinds of expenses that are atypical. There's company cars, the homes, being paid for by the company. The salaries are loaded. And so the first thing to do is clean up the P&L, balance sheet, get rid of any debt as much as you can. And it's all about EBITDA, right? I mean, depending on what vertical it's in, it's going to be multiple revenue or multiple of EBITDA. And so honing the financial set is the biggest thing. The other thing, depending on the vertical, a lot of acquirers is their revenue trajectory. How are sales growing and how is revenue tracked? If revenue is decreasing, you're going to get a discount. If it's growing, obviously you'll get some kind of a premium based on valuation. And so cleaning up the financials and making certain that those things are really on track. The growth side, I focus around sales, customer retention, selling into current customer base, those kind of things. I mean, without knowing the, more specifics, those are kind of generic answers to right now. The other thing is, there's always a question of who is the potential acquirer. If they're looking for somebody that's a private equity firm or something like that, valuation is typically going to be lower. If it's a strategic, somebody in the same vertical that can absorb a lot of the general operating costs and basically through scale they get rid of a lot of those operating costs. Even technically it's an inflection point. Those are going to be a better potential purchaser. So the difficulty comes in on how you position yourself publicly to say that you're for sale. And you don't really want to do that without that to your competition because they use it against you, but those are your most likely acquirers. And so at that point, I was probably going to bring in some kind of an investment banker.
Does that answer your question, Crystal?
Yeah, thank you.
Todd, next question. What were some of the big lessons that have impacted the way that you work over the years?
People will screw you at every conceivable moment in time. They will lie to your face, shake your hand, and steal right out of your pocket 4 minutes later. And I'm talking massive CEOs. This has happened to me through guys who are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. There are no boundaries. There are no ethics in business. You can hide the ball. This was a big lesson for me, just being an ignorant kid when I kind of started out. because I was a lawyer, and people always joke, "Oh, lawyers, you unethical sons of bitches," whatever. I mean, it's really that's what people think about lawyers. But the truth of the matter is that we are bound by a code of conduct that if I tell you something in a case and it turns out to be wrong, I can get sanctioned for it. There's all kinds of things that really happen that are bad to lawyers that lie or deceive people. Just under the model rules of professional responsibility, that did not exist in business, and so I made a lot of mistakes by believing people by their word. That's what I was used to, and I lost lots of money in various transactions because of that.
Great answer. Todd, next question. What skills do you wish you had improved on earlier in your career that would have given you an edge up on the competition?
One that I'm still not great at is selling. I think everybody, as an entrepreneur, no matter where you are in that continuum, whether it's early on or later when you're just a CEO, you have to sell all the time. And so I think taking sales courses, I think, are really a great idea. Constantly, your ability to sell. The other is, I wish I would have gotten more of a financial background when I had the opportunity in college or maybe an MBA or something like that. But my track in college and law school doesn't tell you a damn thing about how to look at a corporate financial presentation, balance sheet, I mean, I had to learn all that myself. And so if you can start with that foundation, you'll learn there's things that you can do to really help your business on how you manage all the financials. And so I think that's an area that I would focus on. It really sounds dull, but at the end of the day, as you get into your own business, you'll understand it's almost everything for most of the time. It's the financials are very important. I'll just be a little bit focused around myself. I can tell you one of the things that I'm glad that I learned is becoming a lawyer prepared me for negotiation and to understand implications of how I structure transactions. So that to me is very, very valuable. So I guess I would say that's another point, understanding negotiation and how to negotiate a deal.
Todd,
Dumb answer. Sorry.
No, it's great. These are all great answers, man. I'm just glad to have you on this call. This is awesome for everybody. Next one, kind of
that guy back there's asleep.
Where?
Oh, all right.
No, he's not. Okay, this kind of segues off what you just said, Todd. What made you change careers from law to business owner?
Schizophrenia? I don't know. I've always just had a desire to do something entrepreneurial. I mean, even in law, I was entrepreneurial. I mean, I liked the cutting edge, things of making creative arguments that people weren't doing things. I did a lot of crazy stuff when I practiced law. And so I was entrepreneurial in that sense. So, I guess I kind of always just had it. Just that desire. Didn't want to work for anybody.
Fair enough. If you could, would you go back and change any of your past adventures?
Probably not. I mean, knowing what I know now, there might have been some circumstances where I could have negotiated harder on a couple things and probably ended up with better pay downs on certain things. But that's revisionist. We were probably talking about maybe the bad things. I would say that the bad things is where you learn the best or the most. And so I would not change any of those kind of bruises or scars that I've got making decisions because I was going to make them anyway. So you learn a lot from them.
How do you know when to follow your gut and go after a new business venture?
Wow. Man, I wish there was a good answer for that.
You'd be considerably more wealthy than you already are, I'm sure, if you had a better answer to that.
Well, I mean, I can just tell you, every time I've gone against my gut, I've gotten screwed. Whenever, I had a partner and they talked me into it, I really didn't want to do it, that's when I got screwed. And so I trust my gut a lot, and it's almost always right. And I don't know that that's me. I doubt it's just me. I mean, but you can pick up, just, I guess, probably through your subconscious, just the subtle cues that people give, and you get a gut sense of whether or not somebody's shooting straight. And, I say that as number one, follow your gut, no matter what.
Okay.
Very scientific.
Indeed. What advice would you give to undergraduate college students, which is the audience that you have here right now?
What advice about entrepreneurialism?
I think even more broadly, Todd. I mean, if everybody here is juniors and seniors and about to embark on their careers, so yeah, as an entrepreneur, but just generally, any
Pass. No matter what you do, be passionate about it, because you will fail if you're not passionate about it. I don't care what it is. If you take a job because it sounds good, but you hate doing it, you're not going to do well. It's going to burn you in the end, because your performance is not going to be at your peak. So no matter what it is, I mean, if it's working in a nonprofit, if it's going to work for somebody, if it's, launching your own company, you just have to be passionate about it. You have to know that that you're doing what you want to be doing. Otherwise you're not happy. 2, you're not performing to the best, and 3, it's not taking you.
What was the best advice you ever received before you became successful?
I've given most of it, what I've been told. TV days already. Best advice that I received. Well, I mean, a lot of it is don't be afraid to fail. I mean, you can talk yourself out of everything, and you do, and I still do at some point. But you can't be afraid. If you worry about all the consequences, if you worry about failing, you will never take the first step. You just won't. And your parents aren't going to help push you over that edge. Your friends aren't. It is all about you. If you want to do it, you got to make a decision, and everybody else will try to talk you out of it. Do not be afraid, to take that step.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcella. Speak up though, because the
Yeah.
microphone's over here.
So, I know you said you've always had it in you, but did you always have support of your family? Was that ever a factor?
No. No. I had the opposite, actually. When I got out of law school, I went to work for a family law firm, my uncle. And so that practice, which was a very successful practice, was mine. I mean, I could have stayed there. They offered me part before I left. And everybody told me not to do it. When you think about my mother, I never heard the end of that. And so, I didn't have any support really other than, my partner. My wife was supportive. I can tell you that be fair, I don't know if I'd have made the same decisions if I had kids. Because it's a lot, it's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of risk. I don't know. I often thought that and ask myself that question. I just don't know if I would have the guts to do it.
Todd, what was your first win that made you confident that you were doing the right thing?
Well, my first was a failure. When I was practicing law, I actually went and started a software company with a partner, and we kind of tried to get it going on its own, and it kind of just crashed and burned. It didn't really work out, but man, it gave me a passion. I knew that, okay, I like giving birth to companies, is what I got to do. So that's when you just gotta, take a leap. And so I jumped out and started Starcom, which is really a cable company. And so we competed, head to head with Comcast and DirecTV and all those groups. And what's funny is I didn't have any expertise in any of those fields. I mean, I didn't know. Now I'm an expert in wireless communications and software development and FCC regulation over all that. But I self-educated on all those things. And if that doesn't tell you something, I mean, here's a lawyer going out and starting a broadband cable company, and I competed to the point where Comcast bought me. I mean, you can do anything you want to do. You do not have to have the specialization yourself, because that expertise is out there and you can find it. And there's nothing beyond anybody's ability to understand. And so, that was really a cool company. I mean, we were doing really cool stuff technologically. So, so I guess that was pretty cool.
Todd, we got a question from Justin over here. Can you make sure to speak up, Justin?
Yeah. When you said you picked partners, how did you pick your partners? Why did you pick them? And how did you learn to trust them?
Yeah. Well, so I've had very good partners and I've had terrible partners. And I'll tell you a story about those. So one of my partners was a fraternity brother of mine in college, and he was just an extremely driven entrepreneurial guy. He was all through college. He had his own company doing painting and doing stuff like that, and he was just driven. He had the passion. He wanted to do his own thing, but he also had a lot of skill sets I didn't. He liked focusing on the financial stuff. He liked focusing on the HR components. He liked the project management minutia and all those things I really didn't like. I can tell you that I gained all of those because I was with him for so long. And so I learned a whole hell of a lot from him, and I think he learned a lot from me. So, I mean, we had, I would say, skill sets that were very well suited, where he was strong in certain areas and I was strong in other areas, and so I think that helped. I didn't have a trust issue. I mean, that I've known him for a long time, but that is a big component. And I can tell you, you really need to know your partner. It is a marriage, and I'm not kidding. I mean, it is. You will see this person more than you're going to see your spouse if you're launching a company together. It's the truth. And you're spending all day with them every day, and your livelihood depends on their ability to function at the same level or greater than what you're going to function at. And you better know that they're in it, and you better know that they're trustworthy, and they're able to perform. I mean, I had a partner that we brought in, and one of the learning components there, right, of not trusting my gut. We brought him in. He came in with some money as an investor, and it turned so terrible. This guy ended up, without me knowing it, working for a competitor, selling shares of my company. Like, he sold like $500,000 worth of my stock. I had some guy come, telling me he's a shareholder, which he never was. It was all fraudulent. Ended up having to sue the guy. It was just a bad deal. And so that was one bad experience. I had another partner that was a doctor that had a family asset. I had a bottle. This is another company I forgot to tell you about. We had a company called Aquastar. This one is a good learning lesson. I lost a $500,000. And we had a bottled water company, and it was owned by a family. This doctor controlled the family, and so we made a deal where we came in, we would own all the distribution rights and basically run it. And so I was dealing with the CEO of Coca-Cola, the CEO of Nestle, and we were making all kinds of big deals. And as a matter of fact, John Fawcett, who's the creator of Mike's Hard Lemonade, called me one day, and Pete Coors, and said, hey, we're going to come out and we want to buy this spring, we want to come out and coffee. And so he flew out, met me. I was actually up with my partner at his bachelor party, and they flew out to Colorado, met us at the airport. We went to a hotel and got a conference room, and we negotiated this deal. And it was a good win for us. And I came home and found out that this doctor that was part of this family, technically my partner, didn't like the deal and transferred the assets, transferred the spring to another family company. And so, which he had no right to do, but what that did is it created a massive legal problem. It killed the deal that we just negotiated with these guys. And it was just all an integrity problem with this person. And so, partners are very, very important. Partners, I'm telling you, think of it as, almost as a spouse. It's true.
Todd, this.
That's morose. Sorry.
No. This is great, man. This is going to be. I'm interested to hear the answer to this one too. Describe your typical workday, and I imagine it's a lot different now than it was when you were running the telecom companies versus when you were running the angel investment.
Yeah. So back then, it was insane. My earlier days, it was, I'm not an early riser. Sorry, some of my partners have been. So I normally go into the office about 9, sometimes 8:30 if it was bad for me enough, So, but the truth of the matter is, I've learned, excuse me, become a firm believer that time really doesn't matter. It's kind of the quality of the time. Like I realized, man, I used to work till 1 in the morning, 7 days a week, 9, work Sundays, and it's not great productivity just because you're putting a lot of time. And so I've gotten smarter over the years to have much more focused productive time. I don't have a lot of meetings. Meetings are worthless, sitting in a room with a bunch of people talking about things. They're just worthless. So I focus more on action and managing people to the action items, myself to my action items, just to be a lot more effective. And so today, my day is, I put my 9-year-old gets on the bus at 8:30, and then I roll to the office. I'm usually at 9:30, and I probably roll home around 6. Now, when I'm at home, after the kids are in bed, I'm usually back to doing something, just not because I have to, because I like it. That's what I do. I enjoy it. It's like instead of reading a novel, I'm, checking into some other stuff that interests me around my business.
I've never had this question in the various all the various speakers I've had. It's from Amber, right here in front. Oh. Amber, you want to wave?
Hi.
If you could live a day in another entrepreneur's shoes, who would it be and why?
Everybody would say, oh, one of these big success stories. I really want to know what the hell that woman at Theranos was thinking. You guys know Theranos?
No.
Somebody Google it real quick. What's the CEO of Theranos? What's her name? She was on Forbes.
How do you spell it, Todd?
Theranos. Theranos.
Ther.
Theranos. Yeah, Theranos. She dropped out of Stanford at 19. She's Holmes, Elizabeth Holmes. She was brilliant. She was on the cover of Forbes twice. She was the youngest and first female multi-billionaire in this Silicon Valley startup. This company was going to revolutionize blood testing and clinical testing, and where instead of taking all those vials out of your arm, they did it with a finger prick, and it could take like a tiny drop of blood and test you for everything. And they raised, and by the way, I put a couple of investors in it. I want to say they raised over $1.4 billion, and the valuation of the company was somewhere around 5 or 6 billion, and it was all a lie. None of it worked. All the technology that they sold all of these investors in never worked. It was a complete lie. It's unbelievable. And so the FDA came in and shut them down, and and all their investors are suing. I mean, it is the biggest, most unbelievable, story ever. And so I just would love to see, I don't want to live in her shoes now, but I mean, I'd like to have known what drove her to make all of those false statements. I mean, she grew this into like hundreds and hundreds of people who were employed in labs all over the country and partnerships with Walgreens, and it was all a lie. It was unbelievable. And so I guess, I just want to know if that to me is more intriguing than how Zuckerberg got to it.
Todd, next question. How do you balance work and home life, being on various boards? And I think more broadly than boards, you talked about how hard you worked earlier in your life. It'd be interesting to hear you just talk about work-life balance, how it is now, how it was then.
Well, it's much more balanced now. Okay, so let's start with this. One, you'll probably have some guilt if you have kids. I do. I got guilt with my first child just because I was hardly ever there. But now I feel really good about it because I'm home with all their games all the time. So maybe I've made up for that. I don't know. It's hard for an entrepreneur to balance that. And I don't know that we ever get it right, or if you ever know that you got it right. If you want to get that right, and that's what's most important to you, go work for somebody. You can punch in at 9 and you can punch out at 5. And you can leave it at the door. And because an entrepreneur is always going to suffer with that, I think. And the bigger part of that is that it also, and this is something I think is important for you to understand, is that you become your business. And your business, day to day, you're going to think one day you're going to be a multimillionaire, and the next day you're going to, my God, I'm dead ass broke. And you take that, if you wear it and you bring it home, and your spouse goes through that cyclical up and down, and they have no control over it, they don't know all the information, you don't tell them. I mean, this is, I've heard that people a lot of that from, happening later on. I don't come home and present all of that, but your spouse, significant other goes through that cyclical manic depressive roller coaster with you, and whether you want them to or not. And frankly, I think it's kind of unfair because they don't have any control over it. They don't, when things get better, they're not necessarily going to call and go, oh, hey, by the way, things got better. They're continually, to worry about it, whatever. And so I just, it's hard. It's something I think all entrepreneurs struggle with. So I would say the biggest advice around that would be, don't take it home, and be cognizant of what you're sacrificing, because you are. You're sacrificing going to that game or to the recital or meeting, your significant other for a drink. You are sacrificing those times, and there are, that's detrimental, but it gets you to where you want to be, where you end up buying that time, buying yourself through your freedom, then it makes it up. Man, that sounded really negative. It's not that negative. It's really not that negative. But I'm just telling you, cognizant of that.
I don't think it's not a negative, man.
Okay.
I got one question left here that's not duplicative in some way. Having seen and been involved with many different businesses, what is a key factor that attracts you to be more involved?
I just like to see, I guess this would translate to everybody. I'm not the guy that can come up with a great new, brand new, incredible widget, but I can see what others are doing in the spaces in between that can be very meaningful. And that's where I like to play. I like to see where there's a regulation that allows for some opportunity, or there's a marketplace where there's opportunity. I don't create the market, but I can see what's happening in the space and where there's additional opportunity between competitors and what others are not doing and that they could be doing. That's one thing. The other is, and I think this is very important, you got to look for a barrier to entry. If anybody can do what you're going to do or what you're doing without much effort, then that's a negative to me. Meaning you need to have either you gotta have some angle, some partnership, some intellectual property, something unique that is a barrier to others following on what you're doing. At least, a whole herd of them on. So with that was your last question.
That's the last question that I have on the list here. Does anybody else have a question for Todd while we've got him?
Share some scotch.
Huh?
Share some scotch.
Valente wants to know if you can share some scotch over the Skype.
Oh, great.
I think that's about as best we can do there, Valente. Anybody else?
I have about
Okay.
Scotch. What is your favorite Scotch?
Uh,
What do you recommend? I need to buy
LaCroix.
a bottle for somebody for Christmas.
I like LaCroix here.
What is it?
He did it. Or the really good one's Lug Ballin, but that's a little bit expensive. So.
What is it called?
A good one that you're giving for a gift is somebody in McAllen. That's great.
Okay, Todd, say that again.
McAllen 12 year. McAllen.
McAllen 12 year. Did you get that, Miriam? Anybody else have a question for Todd? Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Todd, thanks so much, man. It's always a pleasure to have you talk to the class, man. Cool, dude. Huh?
I said you cut your hair and you shaved your beard short. What's up?
It was getting out of control, and I don't have tenure yet, man. So I figured I should rein it in a little bit.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Take care, dude. Okay,
You call me anytime.
I will. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay, just to remind everybody, no class on Thursday. We'll see each other. We'll all see each other again next Tuesday, huh?
Well, we can go to the game for
Yes, yes. You can go to the game for extra credit.
on Friday, right?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Grant,
I don't have a game.
do you have your I want to check and make sure that the thing went through. Do you have the sheet? Yeah. I'm listening. So are these tickets that you still have that you haven't given me cash for yet? Yeah, the best thing is go into the link. If you're gonna pay with credit card, go into the link, fill it all out, and at the bottom it says customer comments. In the customer comments, say I already have physical tickets. So you don't need to issue them. Okay. Okay, let me get it right now. Sorry.
There is a group code that you have to send with the link to, so they get to the right link.
There is?
Yeah. You have to, when you send them to the link, if you open the link, it'll say, what's the group code, and it's CSUB, CFS, or something like that.
When I've been clicking on it, it's gone straight to the.
For me, it has, but then for some reason, some people text me that they needed the code, so I
Interesting.
sent the code to everybody.
Interesting. Here's one more of the regular tickets.
Alright, and then it doesn't matter if they're sitting in different areas? Or
No,
do you have, like,
we'll
11
get them
or
all
something?
matched up, man.
Okay. Because I have a little spread.
If we want to apply, how do we show you that we apply?
Just send me a list, name of company, name of job title.
Oh, we don't need to show you like the.
No, I believe you.
Oh, okay.
And then on the LinkedIn thing, it says deliverable accomplishments over that.
Deliverable accomplishments is put numbers with things. So if you, what were your prior jobs?
I work at Macy's.
Okay, so number of customers that you talk to per week, amount of revenues, amount of sales that go through the machine, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Are
Okay.
we supposed to type our resume on there too?
No, just everything that's in the resume
Uh-huh.
goes in the profile instead.
Oh, okay. So we just did the little markup so you can get.
Yeah. Morris, what's up?
What do we do if we haven't got a response back from This says
My,
sustainability
one of my
from
clients
Northridge.
goes there all the time.
Just
He
wait.
always has the
Just wait it out.
Yeah.
mule.
I figured even if I hear something back
And he's always invited
after
me, and I'm
the
like,
semester,
dude, I'm
I'll
working
send it to you.
hello.
Maybe
Yeah.
and it can get into the right hands or whatever.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Thanks.
Ferris.
I forget, like you told me before. What do you mean, like personal?
Oh,
I understand this one, but this one. No.
the personal budget. So, I forget, what were your, here, read, can you open the rest of that comment?
This only. That's all. I have this one. Is a 10 job applied,
Mm-hmm.
and this one showing like this is the only check.
This and,
With
oh, okay. So, you want to, you put in your financial goals that you eventually want to get a nice house and a nice car.
yeah.
So, house, you're going to need about 20% down payment. So, whatever you think the price of the house is going to be, calculate 20% of that, and then think about how much per month you need to save to have enough for that house. And same thing for the car. Think about how much the car is going to cost. Think about how much you're going to have to put in your monthly budget.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
Like I told you, like how much it cost the car and how much in the month. Or
Yeah. How much money you need per month in order to be able to get that
The car.
house 10 years from now.
Okay.
Okay?
I get it. Thank you so much.
No problem. You good?
Yeah, I'm just slow.
Okay. Bryce, you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Hey, have you done Frampton's presentation yet?
I mean, I have an outline, you know, just to kind of fulfill the requirements, but as far as like making it fancy, like,
Are you gonna do we have to do a PowerPoint?
I think so. I mean, it has to be 4 to 8 slides.
4 to 8
like,
slides.
Like 2 to 3 minutes, but you just kind of got to talk about.
I think I'm just gonna do my own job.
It'd be applicable. I think she would appreciate it.
I'm not sure, like she's super cool.
I mean, I was just kind of curious if she wanted us to like specifically do like a company that we know like the operations of.
The only thing I'm doubting, because I want to do my job because I think my job is unique in its history. But as far as like, if she's wanting like stats and stuff, like I don't have that. It's a local restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that you'll be fine as long as like
We just do it.
you give a little bit of detail and like, especially if it's like a local restaurant.
Yeah.
She should. I don't think she'll have an issue with that at all. You know.
I'm gonna say that that's one of the opportunities, you know, that we don't utilize like our forecasting system and we outsource our HR. Like those are gonna be my two.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that. I gotta go do it right now though, because if I don't get it done before tomorrow morning, I'm not gonna.
You got to be careful though, because the PowerPoint is that you have to turn in a written one.
The 2-page paper.
Yeah.
It has to be like at least 2 pages, right?
I can look it up real quick.
Oh no, my God, I just.
Well, it's all good. I have like the pulled up. So you can check it out. Cause I think it's like 2 to 4 pages or something of the